Good evening, everybody. All right, hope everybody's having a nice evening. I see a few questions on WOE. Please just be patient. I think we've got a session on spreads tomorrow, and over the next few weeks, we're going to have plenty of information for everybody. So those that are on the website during the day, you're going to be seeing some ideas. And then as you see the ideas, we're going to be following up with why some of these are good based on the math of the spreads, or when to buy outright calls or when to sell puts. So all this will be coming together. Okay, as we saw today, on Friday, we had a shooting star type day. And usually you kind of figure that a day like Friday, which is a short day, the day after Thanksgiving, it's not going to be a significant trading day because there's not going to be a lot of people around. However, if you stick with just the basic characteristic or the basic, I want to say, definition of candlestick analysis, which is the signals are the accumulative knowledge of everybody buying and selling during a specific time frame. So it doesn't matter whether the time frame has a lot of people or a few people. That's what the investor psychology was based upon the number of people that were there at the time. So it's not like the people that were trading on Friday had a different perspective on the market than maybe the other large percentage of people that weren't there. Investor sentiment is still going to be essentially the same whether you've got 5 people trading or 5 million people trading. It's not like it's a function of the number of people or the number of traders. It's a function of what is going on in investor sentiment on the people that are actually trading. Now, so we had a shooting star signal with bearish confirmation and even a close below the T line. That makes a couple potential targets. We can see that the 20 really hasn't been effective. So what makes our next target? Well, if you take a look at what the trend or the trading was prior to this move, is we had a kind of a resistance level, and I'm sure it went right across the tops. So this might be our essential target, is the old technical adage that if a resistance level is breached, they'll usually come back and test it to see if it's going to act as support. So that might be the downtrend. Now, is the Dow alone telling us there's a sell signal? No, because we had the same thing occurring in the NASDAQ. Notice what type of trading day we did have on Friday. It was a gap-up doji in the overbought condition, which means if you see a gap-up doji, what do you want to start looking for? That sell signal. Today we had the bearish engulfing signal making for a left-right combo. So I would suspect they might bring the NASDAQ back down to the T line, which would also be somewhat where this kind of a little trend resistance area would also be a support area. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see another day at least of selling. And the S&P 500 came back down to the T line today. Now, if it breaches the 50, as you can see, the 20 has been a significant factor previous. So they could bring it back down to the 20 and look for support at that as a support level. Let's see. Can somebody help Wayne? Excuse me. Okay, good. All right, some of the other things, crude oil just is not turning around. It's popped up a little bit, but there wouldn't be anything yet until they break this downtrending channel. That would tell me to jump into crude oil. See, I'm sure natural gas. Natural gas has been picking up strength ever since the left-right combo down here. And once again, notice what happens in investor sentiment. They gapped down in the oversold area, did a doji hammer type signal, followed by a left-right combo, a bullish engulfing signal. Told us that we're in an uptrend. We had a little kicker signal here at the T-line area. So I wouldn't be surprised if they don't come back up and test the 200, which would be kind of coordinated with this top right here. Let's see, interest rates. Looks like you got a little wedge formation setting up right now, which means probably they're not going to do anything. As long as bond prices stay relatively flat, interest rates aren't going to go anywhere. Now, on a wedge like this, if they break it one way or the other, that means it's going to be a good hard move. And that would be significant for interest rates. Notice what's happened in gold prices. Gold prices are in a downtrend. And where did they top out? Up here somewhere. Remember when all you could hear on the radio was gold? You should be buying gold. It should be in every portfolio. Well, when you start seeing that much advertising, that pretty much tells you you're probably at a top in that market. Same scenario with silver. They can't get above the T line. Let's move this up to where we can see it. Silver in a steady downtrend. Now, some of the other commodities, right now it looks like I was going to buy some feeder cattle today. Had it broken out through the high. That would have told me that this downtrending channel was not in effect anymore. And that was a nice thing about having a buy stop up here. The fact that they could never get back up to that level pretty much told me they weren't going in that direction. Let's see. Soybeans in a slow uptrend. There's nothing out here right now in the commodity area that looks real attractive as far as something. This is wheat. This is corn. Slow downtrend, but nothing that you'd want to be trading at. There's just not any major movements. Audio. Let's see. And cotton. Cotton, same scenario. Notice over the last 5 days, it's been up, down, just not anything worth trading. I'm kind of hemming and hawing here trying to see if there is anything worth trading. Well, it might be that, the dollar still needs to break through this downtrending channel. If it does, now you have the 200-day as a target. British pound in an uptrend, but still not anything that would be real compelling, convincing. They open it up each day and then it sells off. Euro dollar. Now this might be a reversal here, where they've gapped it down with a doji. If it opens weaker tomorrow, got a doji sandwich set up that is trading below the 50 and telling us the T-line's not acting as support. This could be what you'd consider a blue ice failure, where the next target is down here at the 200-day moving average. The Japanese yen, still in a downtrend. However, you're in the oversold area, and they're starting to gap this thing down. And notice how far away you're moving from the T-line. This is where you want to start looking for a bottom reversal signal. Because the worst case scenario is somewhere down here, if they do a hammer or a doji, they at least can pop it back up to the T-line, which would make a good trade. We did gold, we did the dollar. Cocoa. Cocoa still having a hard time getting out of this little trend channel. Notice it popped open higher today, but came back down into the trend channel, which means they aren't out of it yet. Sugar, if you're short, you just stay short. Here's the perfect case of where they brought it down through the T line, and all you had to do is stay short as long as they couldn't close it above the T line. Are your future charts on these pit session or 24 hours? They're usually 24, the usual trading day, not necessarily just the pits. For example, right now they are trading the grains. This is evening trading right here, where it closed there in the. What they do is, I think there's a lot of commodities that, for example, well, this is going to be a poor example. What will usually happen is they will. I'm trying to find something that I can show as an example today. GLEH4, GLEG4. I'll try this. Notice where it closed here, but if you go back to a 10-minute chart, they may have closed it here at the end of the session. I guess the end of the session is somewhere right in here. And then the electronic trading for the rest of the day, usually until around 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, will continue. And then sometime after, I think they close it for an hour and then they open it back up. Oh, that might be just me breaking up. All right, let's see what else we got. It's over. Can't think of anything else. I know there's, coffee. Coffee might be bottoming out, but still not a great chart. They came up, hit the 50, and backed right off, so that's not telling me anything of great consequence. So, anyways, overall, on the general market, that's the 10-minute chart. That's why the coffee didn't look. Look at coffee now. Still not anything that I'd be trading. Just nothing here that tells us there's a trend or no real signal. All right. Even though the Dow has backed off, there are still plenty of charts that have been acting well. As you know, we recommended ALJ a while back. Ever since this big kicker reversal. And where's the likely target? Up here at the 200. That's where I'd start taking profits, only because you're up in the overbought area. You've moved a good distance from the 50. Where do you think everybody buying down here anticipated the target was going to be? The 200. So there's going to be a lot of people taking profits there. We'll just see with the candlestick signals if that's the case. Valero, same scenario. You just stay long. Now, I was telling people that I took off half the position. I think this was on Wednesday. Because I had a good profit in this trade, and it was moving up big away from the T line, so I anticipated that maybe we're going to have a move like this, so I took off half. Not to say that that was the right move or not, but there's sometimes when you've got some good movement going on, and you're moving away from the T line up in the overbought area, basically tells us the probabilities are that we're getting up in the overbought condition. So selling half here, you take a good profit. The worst case scenario is if the other half keeps moving, you're still making money, but not with as much exposure in an overbought condition. Or if the next day, say after the doji, they opened it lower, you closed out the position. So you sold some up here and you sold some down here, but you got most of this trade in that position. At least that makes me mentally copacetic anyways, that I did the right thing and that I didn't do something stupid by selling here and having it go on without me. At least I've still got half of my position making making money. Some of the other positions that we have on, ZLTQ, doing the J-hook, did kind of a doji day today. Makes it very simple, though. If this trades back below today's low of a doji in the overbought condition, that pretty much tells me I want to be taking profits. Not that there's a complete reversal, that it's probably going to come back down to the T-line, but why take that risk? We don't know whether they're going to zap it all the way back down here or they're going to support here. I can always buy back if I see it hit here and bounce back up once it's hit the T-line. OPK, whoops, S.OPK, still looks good in the sense that you've got this big morning star signal, then support right here on the 50 and the T-line, and they're still trading higher. This one, maybe this is the key right here, is that you had the big morning star signal, and they're still moving up from there. Bernard will get to individual charts after we get finished with all these. When I get done, I'll say, all right, Jim, do the double line. That's when you put in your individual stock requests. DDD just has been a hard one to trade, but as we can see over the last few days, it whipsawed around, but the pattern is setting up, a J-hook type pattern. If this moved from essentially the 52.50 area to the 50 or the 82.50 area, 30 points, if it moves 30 points from here, we're going to be pushing on 100. So this one is a good position to be in. I wouldn't be afraid to be in this in three different type of trades: a short-term stock trade, a short-term option trade, or having this sitting in your long-term account. Because I would definitely want to have this longer term based upon the what do I want to say, the new technology they're coming up with. I guess new products. All right. This is one of the reasons why I like the stock market. I was making some good money trading the technology stocks back in 1999, 2000. We were doing what they call SOS trading, which was kind of a fast day trading. But I was using the candlestick technique to trade, and the technology stocks, as we knew, were just skyrocketing. I mean, there were stocks going from 2 to 200 in a matter of 8 months. And then all of a sudden it crashed. Or not all of a sudden, but in the year 2001 it crashed. So the analysis at that time was it was over. The technology bust had hit. It was over. The problem with that scenario was that the technology wasn't over. It just happened to be that the stock prices got way ahead of themselves. And so when they crashed, that still meant, or that didn't mean, the technology that was behind some of these companies had stopped. And right now, if I was putting a curve on technology, it's got to be going straight up. Because every single day, every single month, we're hearing about new products that you couldn't even imagine. I tell people right now, we can't even conceptualize what investment or what technology improvements there's going to be on products 1 year from now. Things are moving that fast. So basically it boils down to somebody comes up with a technology idea A, and somebody else comes up with technology idea B. Somebody comes up with a combination of technology A and B and comes up with C. And then somebody comes up with a technology combination of C and F, and just it keeps moving up that fast. Yeah, Priceline. Oh, I had a little friend in Houston. she'd bought, I forget how many shares of Priceline in her portfolio. Excuse me. It wasn't a whole heck of a lot. It had a little uptrending chart. And I think even at one time, Priceline, if I'm not mistaken, had a reverse split. So it popped up some. But I haven't talked with her in a while, but I'm just hoping she still has Priceline in her portfolio. Anyways, I'm kind of babbling here. Where would I be buying? I would be buying on positive trading tomorrow. Where would I set my stop? I wouldn't want to see this close back below the T-line. You've got the J-hook pattern in progress. And let's see, some of our other recommendations. Oh, pshaw. MU, ever since it gapped up through the T-line, has been a nice steady eddy. It was a little bit worrisome right here. But this is why you hear me often say this stock has to open higher and trade higher to stay in it so they get back up above the T-line. So we're in wave 1, wave 2, wave 3 is about wave 1. So we'd start watching where to come out of this trade. And right now, I would put my stop below the lows of these 2 days. If it comes back down this direction, that might be the end of wave 3, but not necessarily meaning that becomes wave 1, wave 2, and then starts up again. Yeah. Okay. GGAL has moved up nicely. Did some consolidation today, but didn't do anything that would tell us there's anything severe wrong. And I'd still be looking at this as a buy on a kind of a J-hook pattern. There's your fry pan bottom. Classic. Strong price move, J-hook pattern, strong price move. And AMKR has been moving nicely. Also, that fry pan bottom, J-hook pattern. We had a left-right combo today. So if this opens lower, probably going to take some profits. But still won't be afraid to see if it bounces and comes right back up to buy right back in again. Now, things like Mill, notice where we had the Harami hanging man signal, right at the same level it topped out before. Makes this very simple. If this opens lower tomorrow, you close out the position immediately. It needs to open flat at least and trade positive. Worst case scenario is if it opens lower, the probabilities are extremely strong they're going to take it down to the T-line. Worst case scenario is if you close it right here, you put your buy stop right up here. If it comes up through there, that tells you that the top is not there. They're going through it. SBLK, well, for crying out loud, why does not SBLK show up on this chart? Now, let's take a look here. Moved up nicely. One more where if it comes back down through today's low, you take your profits. I don't know why SBLK doesn't show up on these charts. It's one of those mysteries. And OXBT is another one that has to open higher and trade higher. If it opens lower, what type of trend do we have? We can see this trend channel in development that they aren't taking it any place. All right, now even with the market getting soggy, does not mean that there aren't some good explosive trades about to happen. STX, notice what this has done. The fry pan bottom, another fry pan bottom, and we're just about at the breakout level. If this one starts trading positive, you definitely want to be buying it because notice what it did today. It had a good day even though the market was soggy, which told us the fry pan bottom pattern is more compelling than what the market is telling us. So you always want to go with the patterns versus the market because the pattern was building up for some reason. That's a buildup of investor sentiment. Okay. And GoGo was another one. We've been recommending this one for as an option trade. Excuse me. We had the J-hook type pattern. It pulled back, but still did not really break the T-line. And then today it was stronger than Bear's Breath, up about, I think it was 464. So these options are doing very well. Still kind of the scenario of a fry pan bottom, now a J-hook pattern setup. This also tells us that if they open this positive, wave 3 is definitely in progress. It doesn't matter which way the market is going to go. If I was buying GoGo, it would be on the open, a positive open tomorrow, and then just use this halfway candle as your stop. If it came back and closed more than halfway down this candle, where is it? It's back into this wedge formation, which if it broke out today, it should stay out. Stay out of the wedge formation anyways. Here's SLCA. Same type of scenario, kind of a rounding bottom, and we're getting up here toward the breakout area. This one you want to keep an eye on to see if it's going to break out to the upside. And INSM. Rounding bottom, notice the doji gap up. Now we're pushing on this level right here. If this opens positive, that tells us we're in a new wave also. Okay, let's see. A few others that are looking good. We're going to get to some more breakout potentials here in a little bit. WBMD. I see that WBMD. There's that slow curve. There's that doji gap up. There's our resistance level. You can be buying this on positive trading. Where's your target? Draw a line right through the top. You're up, looking up here in this range pretty quick. Let's see. Oh, Lope was another one that was setting up. It's right there at this resistance level with a kind of a little traded off today. It started up today. If it comes back up through this level, you want to be buying it. If you own it, you stay with it as long as it doesn't close below the T-line. ONTX was one that was pointed out in the chat room today. There's that slow curve. Notice what they couldn't do on the pullback. They couldn't close this below the T-line. No, this is just great. Okay. Yeah, I've been coughing and hacking. It's this cold Pennsylvania weather. Yeesh. ONTX. So this one you want to buy. Look at this right here at this breakout level. If it pops, where's it going to? They're going to take it right up here to the 50. And let's see. Jern had another good chart set up. Slow curve. We're right here at a breakout. If this trades positive, there's a good target to look for. Back up here to the highs because it's been there. So people aren't going to be afraid to buy until it gets back up into that level. Yeah, I have a fraternity buddy that years ago was complaining about all the pills he had to take in the morning. That was a whole handful. Oh, Shazam. Sandy gives me a pot of pills in the morning that would make his pills look like a snack compared to what I take every morning. I have to have 2 big glasses of water to get all of it down. Here's CAMT. Once again, notice what it couldn't do. They couldn't take it back below the T-line. This tells us the buying is started. This pattern right here, kind of a fry pan bottom breakout and huge price move, tell you something big is happening. So if it's not time to get in up here, This is telling you if you have the selling has stopped and the buying is starting back up, this is where you could have been buying today. Now, I know it opened and traded lower, which meant this was a very, very easy buy stop. You put a buy stop above where it opened or above the high during that time. If it came back up through there, that told you the bulls were back in control. Oh, yes. I've got stuff for stiff toddies now. Let's see. MKTO. There's that doji gap up. This one you can be buying using the T-line as your stop, anticipating you could get back up here. Obviously, you got to fight through this junk in this area, but you've got the doji gap up. Doji gap up. Had a good quick move. Yeah, CAMT, I would still be buying it on positive trading. And then I'd probably just set a stop. I wouldn't want to see it close back below this candle right here, halfway point. All right, and AOL, left-right combo, smack dab on the T-line, bounced off the 200, wave 1, wave 2. I'd look for a wave 3, especially now that it looks like it's broken out through this little downtrending channel. And a little scoop pattern was in S-Fund today. Whenever you see this, there's that slow curve scoop. Where are they going to take this? Back up to the top of the trend channel, and then more than likely still right along the top of the trend channel. Now, the fry pan bottoms are acting very well right now. We put a recommendation on ARWR this morning on a positive open and was buying it today. It still can be bought because if it opens positive from here, what's it doing? It's breaking out and has a good possibility of having the same type of move as what we see right here. So notice what it did today on this fry pan bottom. It traded positive when we're looking at a market that looks like this. So that continues to illustrate the fact that a fry pan bottom or any candlestick pattern is a buildup of investor sentiment, not based on market direction, but something going on in that stock individually. That was a good setup. What's happened here? Oh, Shazam. Oh. Well, maybe I've hit the wrong button. All right, we can bring up the old charts. Maybe this one's not working. Let me. No, it's. All right. Smoke them if you got them. We're going to give this a minute to see if it's. Ha. Okay, anything that we brought up comes up. That's. Notice how these were resistance levels, went through, basically came back and used them as support, now heading up. So if this is wave 1, going from 2 to 875, that means this could move to approximately the $16, $19, or $17 range. Can you go over kicker indicators in depth? If I can get these darn charts to work. Let me see if things have activated yet. Oh, all right. I don't know what does this. Well, let's do this for the time being. All right. I have to change charts here real quick. All right, what were we looking at? Let's see, JMKTO. Now that was a gap up. Did we do that one? No, we're way down here. All right. DYAX. Another one that I wouldn't be afraid to be buying right here because of your fry pan bottom, slow curve, breakout. Where is this likely to go to? This has the possibility of going up to this level, which would take you up into about the 15, 16. Worst case scenario is going to come up right here, but still puts you up in about the 9.5 area. So still some good profit potential on this one. All right. Nothing yet here. Apparently not. All right. INCY. This one's starting to set up again. Starting to set up that fry pan bottom. And ECYT. Notice how this has a nice fry pan bottom and just now closed above the 50, doing a doji, which makes this very simple. If they open this positive, even for a day trade, more than likely, if they move about this magnitude, they're going to get up close to the 200. If they get that close to the 200, more than likely somebody's going to keep buying right up into the 200. So that one's a good one to if you're looking for a fast trade tomorrow. And this is just great. Not only do I have to hunt for pads all day long, but I got to look for pens. And I'm putting a little star next to that for a day trade. And AAP, this I may not chase after the stock, but definitely would look at a stock or an option trade on this one. There's that big gap up, fry pan bottom. The consolidation's over. Kind of a double bottom here on this fry pan with a doji gap up. If they move above this level, they're going into wave 3, which could be another 20 points. Yeah, UVE has just been a steady eddy. I use this one to illustrate the slow curve breakout. When they break out, what's your upside potential? At least this move right here. So if this is your potential move, what do you do when it gets there? You still watch to see if you got a weak signal. In this case, you never have. That's why you want to stay with the patterns as much as you can, because they're going to produce not only the being in the right trade at the right time, but they're also going to produce a strong price move if they do work, or not if they do work, when they work. Well. what did I do wrong here? ABFS maybe? There we go. There's a slow curve setup on ABFS. This one you want to watch to see if you get a strong tomorrow. And AER, slow curve. Where is this potential? Draw a line right up across the tops here. That's where your next potential target will be. All right, those are, if this market stays bullish, what makes ECYT a good day trade? Because you can pretty well analyze that if this is day one of a doji sandwich, day three is going to be approximately the same, which means you're going to be up here above this level into the gap area, which means your next, without any resistance up here, your next likely target is the 200. So worst case scenario, you only get a day about the same magnitude as that day. Best case is you could go all the way up to the 200. All right, Zach, I'll have to look at it later. Do you use a 3T, 8T crossover for day trading? Not necessarily. Oh, what's happened here? This is not good. There we go. But I use that technique. They aren't on these charts. We're going to, I started this weekend on the entry and exit strategies using the 3T, the T line, the 5-minute and the 10-minute chart combinations to show you when to get into a trade and when to get out of a trade. Can kind of fine-tune your entry and exit strategies. UNTD, did I just skip one? This one, that's APD is what I'm trying to get to. APD. This one, bearish engulfing, kind of the wedge formation, but it did a doji breakdown today. If this one continues to fail, it can take you all the way back down to the 200. This is, we will be recording that one. For those of you that have unfortunately become newbies here during the last month or so, you've joined during the time that I was moving 2 households up here to Pittsburgh. During the cold months, there's going to be a lot more sessions where you get trainings, and they will be, I'll have to check the schedule. I know we've got some option training scheduled, but we're going to be doing the entry and exit strategies. We will probably do a how to scan for the best techniques, but that's usually about a 2-hour session, so we're probably going to do that on a Saturday morning where we start maybe at around 9 or 9:30 and go to 11:30, 12 o'clock. Is there a sign-up for tomorrow night? Glenn, you're asking the wrong person. We'll have to ask Dave that. Yeah, there will be. That's what the whole training is for, is to show how you come up with the best possible trades. A lot of people say, well, if you come up with this many trades that look good during the day or for the next day, how do you narrow it down to 1 or 2 trades? And that's the process that we're going to go through as part of our kind of combining the scanning as well as knowing which parameters and which trade setups are the best, so that we can narrow it down to the best 1 or 2 trades. Tomorrow night we are doing how to use spreads effectively for option trading. Yep, Saturday morning session in the wintertime, that's where you just keep your slippers on and you get a nice hot cup of chocolate or coffee, and in my case it's chocolate, and hot cocoa. We just go for a couple hours. Plus, it gives everybody a kind of a relaxed time to ask questions. Tomorrow night will be recorded. Lori, I don't know whether there's a special sign-up for tomorrow or not. Yes. We will. I think the schedule was supposed to have been put up, And oh, the password will usually change on the special nights. Yes. Okay. Here's another one that has failed the T-line. IQNT and closed right at the 50 on a bearish engulfing signal. Stochastic's not into the oversold area yet. If they open this lower, it's a good possibility they could pull the plug on this one and take it down pretty hard. OMER. Looks like a bearish J-hook pattern that could take you right now down to at least the 200. So that would be a good 15% to the downside. EGHT. This is the classic case of a blue ice failure. Broke the ice, came down, and notice there's a kicker signal. Kicker signal is when it opens here and closes here. The next day they open it at or above the previous day's open and go the opposite direction. So they gap it up above the previous day's open and go that way. That means there's been a big, massive kick in the investor sentiment. They're going to take it up. This is why when you're buying here, everybody will say, where do you think it's going to go to? The next logical target, which is the 50-day moving average. Notice what it did when it got up here. This is why I always say, watch to see what it does when it gets to this level. In this case, it had a shooting star, didn't confirm. Then came up here and had a hanging man, and then started trading lower from the hanging man. That tells us they failed the 50. If this opens lower, where do you think it's going to go to? Down to the next support level. And JMBA, uh-oh, here it comes again. Okay. Another failure. What's this chart telling us? This chart's telling us they're having a hard time getting above the 50. So every time it hits the 50, they're selling it off. Where are they selling it off to? I just goofed that up, didn't I? There's this downtrending channel. They could take this all the way down here, which looks to be around the $8 area. So you've got a good 25-30% downside potential on this one. Let's see. Yeah, 80-year-old Scotch. Most of my drinks have twist-off caps. Let's see. That was Jamba. Zillow. Zillow, we can see which way it's heading. It's also in an obvious downtrend. Notice the doji gap down. At least selling off for a couple points. And PRAA also looks like it failed the 50. This one could head all the way down to the lower trend channel, which should take you down into this area. And NS did an evening star signal. Stochastic's rolling over. If this opens lower tomorrow, you can be shorting it with at least a 10% move down here to your support level. So that'll be based on how this market opens tomorrow. Let me see if, oops. Okay, we got the charts back over here. Let me make sure. Well, okay. Hold on for a second. Okay, so there we go. All right. All right, so that's about all I've got tonight. So, is there any questions, general on candlesticks? And again, you folks that are in the option trading area, please be patient. Unfortunately, this market's not giving us anything of any great consequence. As I say, Go-Go looks pretty good as far as being a potential of having another 6 or 8 points to the upside. And right now, the one that's really doing well is Valero calls. And some of, whoops, what happened there? ZLTQ still moving in the right direction. And even though we haven't really recommended DDD, DDD is still one that is often mentioned, and this one I would definitely be buying on a positive trade tomorrow. I'd say we did try to do the kicker signal there a little bit ago. When was it? The kicker signal is when it. Let's see. Somewhere back here is here's a kicker signal. Kicker signal is when they open a downtrending stock here and close it down here. The next day they gap it up above the previous day's open and go the opposite direction. Open here, close here, gap it up and go the opposite direction. Investor sentiment has been kicked in the opposite direction. It makes for a very strong price move. The 20-day moving average is simple. And could you go over when you start the wave count in an uptrend or downtrend? And does this work in all time frames? Yes, it works in all time frames. And if I'm doing a wave count, it's nothing more than, whoops, getting back to, just generally, if this is my wave 1, and we can see this is wave 2 starting wave 3, if this moves from the $50 area right in here up to the $80 area, or maybe even 85, that's wave 1. That's 35 points. That means wave 3 on a J-hook pattern from somewhere right in here. It doesn't have to be exact. It's going to be approximately 35 points to the upside. And I say it doesn't have to be exact because it's never really exact, but it gives you a general sense of if this was wave 1 and wave 3 is approximately the same, to give you a general area when to start watching for sell signals. And wave 1, wave 2, wave 3 have nothing to do with Elliott wave. It's just that we know that prices move in waves. They don't go straight up. So anytime you see a strong price move in a J-hook pattern, you know you've got a wave 1, wave 2, wave 3 pattern setup. Let's see. TLT, it all depends on the market conditions. Whoops. And what you want to be trading. Excuse me. This is the 20-year bonds. And the reason you can trade the TLT is because it's got all the bonds, just like a fund for stocks. At least you get the general move of that market, where on an individual stock you're still exposed to something happening to that individual trading entity. Something good if you're short, or something bad if you're long. Whereas if you're trading the sectors, your returns aren't going to be as big, but your analysis is going to be much more steady, and your trade is going to be a lot more secure. Okay, yeah. Zach, all right, I'll send it over. The 20-day moving average, the 20, the 50, and the 200 are all simple moving averages for one simple reason. Uh, is That's what all the money managers around the world use to oh poo. This isn't happening again. All right, let's see. It is happening again. All right. Hold on for a second. We're doing this one more time. Here's another example of a kicker signal. FRO, opened here, closed here, gapped up. Even though it has a tail to the downside, it closed positive or above where they opened it, doing a white candle, which told us that there was a strong buying, and then a couple more gap ups. Let's see. Do they filter that stuff? Oh, okay. With 80-year-old stocks. Let's see. All right. Does a left-right combo have to be at a high or at a low of a trend, or can it occur in a flat trend to be interpreted as a signal? Are they all combinations of doji engulfing candles in a left-right equal? Yes. You want a doji followed by a bullish engulfing, or a doji followed by a bearish engulfing. And obviously they're going to work a heck of a lot better in the oversold condition for a bullish one, or in the overbought area for the bearish one. But they are strong enough that if you're in a flat trading area and all of a sudden you see one, you want to take notice of it and see what it does after that. Same scenario with a Morningstar signal and I can't think of one right offhand. Oh, this is just great. I was trying to find one. But a Morningstar, you see a flat trading area, then a Morningstar signal, that usually acts like a mini stoop pattern, which gives you a slingshot effect to the upside. After a kicker, are you expecting more upside? Yes, you're expecting plenty more upside. Jim, it doesn't matter what you call it. If it's called 1, 2, 3 or an ABC, it doesn't really matter. It's just wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, or wave A, wave B, wave C. What did you say? Strong price move in a J-hook pattern. You know you have a wave pattern. Yeah, J-hook pattern consists of the prerequisite of a strong price move, and then profit taking, and then the continuation of that strong price move. The 8 exponential moving average is what they call the T-line. The 3 T-line is the 3 exponential moving average, which we've been doing some studies, and it works well for, excuse me, entry and exit. Here we go again. That's just great. And so there's a study that We know the T-line has the effect that the further away you move from the T-line, the higher the probability is going to come back and test it, which means if you're moving fast and you're moving away from the T-line, then the 3T becomes much more effective for telling you when the first profit taking is occurring, which means if you're a good distance away from the T-line and you see profit taking, you don't want to wait to see if it's going to come all the way back to the T-line and hold or not, because you give up a lot of profits. Then you use the 3T line to take your profits and then wait to see what it does once it gets back to the T-line. OPK, yeah, more of the, right there, it's kind of that flat trading with a Morningstar signal acting like a little scoop type pattern. Thank you. Let's see. MS in middle of fro. MS in the middle of fro. I don't get that. What do you refer as channel often? Whenever you can see a trading channel, which means you can see where the bottoms and the tops. So this is kind of a channel right here in VIPs. Right now, with the buy signals occurring at the bottom of the trend channel, where do you expect it to go? Back up to the top of the trend channel. So it may not be a huge price move, but it's probably going to be a very high probability price move. Okay, all right. I guess with that, Jim, go ahead and do the double line. And do another double line. Okay. Jazz, all you can do here is stay long as it stays above the T-line. VISN. VISN isn't really going anywhere. As you can see, it's flat. Your stochastics are still heading down. You're right on the T-line, but you're not seeing any energy. And you've got kind of this resistance level. I would rather pay $10.20 for it, knowing that it's broken out through this downtrending channel. Let's see. I think WPX, yeah, kind of a Morningstar little scoop type pattern. And now you have a stutter step, which means they pulled it back indecisively, now taking it back up. So that one you can be buying on positive trading. Just be careful. Just watch to see what your magnitude of your move is on that one. RRD, all you can do here is stay long until you see a sell signal. There's your little kicker type signal right there. Opens here, closes down here, gaps up, and goes the opposite direction. Usually going to be followed by strong buying after that. There's a kicker signal. Opened here, closed down here. They gapped it up above the open and gone this way. Plus, notice what they did on this kicker signal. They basically broke out of this resistance level. There's probably a lot more upside to this one. AMT, nothing here that would get me excited one way or the other. Depending on what their dividend yield is, I wouldn't be buying it right now, but if it has a good dividend yield, you don't want it to move real big one way or the other, you hang on to it. Oracle, as you can see, the magnitude of the returns for this, for every price move, it's at 0.83%. I think there's probably a heck of a lot better things to be trading out there. I mean, this took a month just to move 2 points on a $32 stock. There's better. I'd be trading something else, that's for sure. Oops, and KR Kroger. Kroger has moved back, and as you can see, the 50 is acting as support. You have a doji here. It needs to open positive and trade positive to want to be in it or stay in it. To buy it, you probably want to see it break out through this downtrending channel, which means you need to see a strong buy signal. And MACK, there's your kicker signal right here. Notice on the pullback what type of characteristic it was. Dojis. Very indecisive. And then there's your left-right combo that took you off again. And OEH. That's a slow curve getting set up. I wouldn't be afraid to be buying this one. Maybe not here, maybe at the 1550 level, knowing it broke out. Ruckus, all you can do is stay long as long as it stays above the T line. Pran, this one you can be buying, especially if it opens positive tomorrow. There's your doji, bullish confirmation, J-hook type pattern. Stay with that one. Abercrombie, looks like it wouldn't be long or short this one. This one has no direction. And Citigroup needs to stay above the T line. At this point, if I owned it, I'd be ready to close it if it closes below the T line, but if it stays above the T line, you want to hang with it. And XHP, excuse me, home builders, they sold off hard. That's an evening star signal with two indecisive trading days. This one you get ready to go short. Where is it probably coming back to? At least down here to the 50 or below. If I owned it, I'd be out of it tomorrow on weakness. And HCA, this one also you got to be careful of. It might be having a hard time getting out of this little downtrending channel. If you own it, you stay long, but I definitely wouldn't want to see it come back near the T line at this point. Hershey, this one obviously is still in a downward trend channel. Now you have to see if it's going to support back on the 50 again. Otherwise, you could be in that slow downtrending channel all the way down to the 200. And Dust. Dust did a kicker type signal up through the resistance level. So you just stay long until you see a sell signal. Hold on for a second. Yeah, gotta get something strong tonight. Gale, all you can do on this one is stay long. Notice how it came out of this little rounding bottom, and notice what spurted out of the rounding bottom, this doji sandwich. This is a perfect setup. When you see a doji right on a resistance level, and they open up positive the next day, you want to be buying because I told you two things. Told you you're going to have a doji sandwich, which meant they aren't going to resist here anymore. You're in a new wave at that point. And AGO, this one you want to buy on positive trading. Notice the little inverted hammer gravestone doji right here at the T line, and positive trading told you exactly what they're not doing, which was they're not letting it go back below the T line. And Rite Aid, ever since it broke out with this little doji gap up through the resistance level, all you can do is stay long until you see a sell signal. And TSN, there's that belt hold. Belt hold opened right on the T line, came back up, and what's the belt hold tell you? They took out some sellers. So the profit taking that was going on here was wiped out. Now look for wave 3. There's your fry pan bottom. There's your classic setup. CTI, this one you can get ready to go short. If it opens weak tomorrow, it'll come. It's going to come down to fill this gap, which means you're Probably got a target of the 50-day moving average also. And VRA, we recommended this one as a long, had it opened positive and traded positive. I wouldn't go short on it. It's just not a real strong short signal. You're still in kind of the support area. I mean, you can go short on weakness. I just think there's probably better short situations out there right now. Scotty kind of backed off today. Just having a hard time getting up through this level. So this one, if you own it, you stay with it as long as it doesn't close back below the T line. And CPN, there's your left-right combo. You can be buying this one on positive trading. Just be aware of how far it has to move. Each move here is 1%. So to get 10%, you got to come all the way up here. That's a good long time to try to get 10% out of it. CLG, there's your left-right combo, right on the bouncing off the T line. This one you can be buying on positive trading tomorrow. The J-hook pattern will be in effect. Procter & Gamble, another one that I probably wouldn't bother with. Now you could be short this one, but notice if you shorted this one, you're going to make 3 points on an $83 stock. That's hardly enough to. There's better situations out there. Again, this is one of the institutional traders. Doesn't produce a whole lot of magnitude of move. SanDisk, on the other hand, has done a bullish Harami right off the 50. This one you can be buying. I'd rather wait for it to break out through this level. I mean, I'd rather pay $69.50 for it knowing that it broke out. That would tell me I'm in the next wave. DK, notice what it did. Did a doji here, which told you they're going to move it in the direction of how they open it after a doji. They gapped it open, which told you exactly what they thought about the 200. They're not resisting there anymore. So at this point, if you own it, you continue to own it, and you probably just use the 200 as your stop. It shouldn't close back below that level. And SGMO, this one has to open positive tomorrow. Notice they came down and they bounced off the T-line, came back up. But if they open it lower, that tells you the bears still in control. The bulls couldn't get it. It has to open positive and trade positive to stay bullish on this. IOC needs to open positive and trade positive to stay in it. If it opens lower and trades below the T-line, now you've got this downtrending channel to contend with, and probably have to watch to see what it does when it gets when the 20 comes up to catch up. And LNG, this one you could be buying on positive trading tomorrow, also using the T-line as your stop. YPF, nothing here to tell you to not continue to hold. Now, I would probably use today's low as a stop. If it comes back down through there, they're taking profits and they're going to come down to the T-line, at least the T-line. Facebook, all you can do right now is stay long as it doesn't trade below the T-line. At this point, I would probably use today's low as a stop. If it came back down through there, it's going in the wrong direction, which means you're still caught in this downtrending channel. And Ha, you give it one more day. Hasn't done a sell signal, just backing and filling, but you probably want to see this one open positive and trade positive. If it opens lower, anticipate now it's coming back to test the T-line. If it opened lower, I'd come out of it, and then you could always buy it back if it turned around and started heading back up. eBay, moving up. There's your flutter kicker signal. Notice you had a dark candle, then they gapped it up and did a doji. What's our simple rule of a doji? They're going to move it in the direction how they opened after a doji. They opened it positive and went positive. Made it very simple. If you took this doji out of here, you essentially have a strong kicker signal, which means even though they opened it positive and backed off today, all that was profit taking. You're still in an uptrend on this one. YNDX. Nothing to do here except stay long as it stays above the T line. We did CLG or CELG. You can buy this on Positive Trading. SIFI. SIFI has a nice little breakout. I think I was trading SIFI when it was up in the $40 and $50 area at one time. Nice little slow curve. Just be careful of your volume on this one. Not very hefty. An MCP, another one that you can be buying on Positive Trading. That's got good volume. Then I just use the T line as a stop. An APOL. Nothing there. If I was going to buy this, I'd have a buy stop at 27.50. If it came up through there, that told me which way they were going after this series of dojis. An EGLE. That probably tells us this is what you call two dark crows. Notice what they did. They opened it here and traded it down. Next day, they gapped it back up right about the open of the previous day, but traded it back down. That tells us the bears are trying to take control. I would suspect they're going to come back, test the T-line, and then see if it starts popping up from there. And let me see, AIRA, nice J-hook pattern, doji sandwich setup. This one you buy immediately on a positive open, and you don't want to see it trade back below today's low. That was ARA and MTDR. This one is ready to do a doji sandwich to the downside. If this one opens lower tomorrow, you can be shorting it. First Solar. This one, you don't want to be long or short at this point. Your stochastics are in the oversold area, and you're moving sideways. This tells me that they're not taking it down, even though they're not taking it up. But more than likely, once the stochastics get into the oversold area, if you see a buy signal, then you can be buying. So I'd rather put a buy stop at $61, knowing that if it comes up through there, the bulls have taken control again. ONVO wouldn't be long or short. You should be out of this position with the close back below the T-line 2 days ago. You can always buy this one back if it comes back up through the T-line. And AFFX has been holding up fairly well. You stay long on this one. ZTS. Nothing you want here other than if you're short, you just stay short. And you don't want to see this one close above the T-line. Tesla. Tesla had the opportunity to get up above that T-line, but if it closed back below it, you should not be in this. If you got in it up here, come right back out of it. That's telling you the trade's not working yet. And CUR, all you can do on this one is stay long. As long as it stays above the T-line, you got a big fry pan bottom in operation with the 50 acting as support. We did Eagle, GURE. This one you can stay long with. That's a left-right combo. It's going to be more upside. LIOX, the J-hook pattern setting up. Wouldn't be afraid to be buying this one on Positive Trading tomorrow, and also using the T-line as your stop. YRCW, all the trucking stocks seem to be acting well. Notice the series of dojis followed by a bullish confirmation. Now you're pretty much broken down through this channel. Looks like you're trying to get through this channel right now, which means probably the target's going to be toward the 50-day moving average. An MCP, this one you stay long. Let's see, SRPT. Stay long as it doesn't close below the T-line. And Coco, you stay short until you see a buy signal and a close above the T-line. ISRL. This one you shouldn't be trading. There was not enough volume in here to. You can't short this one. Is it showing it traded 300 shares today? Yeah, don't even bother. MZOR. This one you don't buy yet until it does get up above the T line. Another one where you're probably a little bit slim. You're probably all right on this one. Volume is just a little bit slow on it. And BTUS, just stay long until you see a sell signal. All right, let me see what else we got here. ACAD, another one that's breaking out nicely. If you're buying this one on positive trading tomorrow, you don't want to see it close back below the halfway point of this candle, which was the candle that told you that the bulls had enough strength to break it out in the new territory. NBG, all you can do here is stay long. You're getting very close. It was almost a dark cloud, but not quite. But not quite doesn't work. It needs to be. The bears definitely showing they've taken control, and they haven't yet. So on NBG, you want it open. You see that one open higher and trade higher. JC Penney, excuse me. Another one where all you can do is stay long as you don't see a sell signal and a close below the T line. Las Vegas Sands. This one needs to break out to the upside. This one should not close back below the T line either. Let's see, I think we did YRCW. Yeah, just stay long on this one. Let's see, did we do ACAD? Yes. Did TLT. CFX. There's kind of flutter kicker setup. If this opens positive, you can be buying right away because that means it's going to move in the direction of how they open it, which would break out into new territory. IMMU, stay long as it stays above the T line, but it better open positive tomorrow. If it trades back below the T line, close it out. Tell you the strength is gone. And silver, stay short till you see a buy signal. CHS, another one that is using the T-line as support. All you have to do here is stay long, using the T-line as your stop. And HIMX, this one has to open higher and trade higher. If it opens lower, you've got a potential doji sandwich to the downside, which would mean there'd be more weakness after that. RE, that's a good-looking chart. Just make sure your volume is close on volume. Excuse me. CTIC, this one, if it opens lower tomorrow, you close it out. As you can see, you're stuck in the sideways channel. There's no strength showing up right now. It needs something strong to keep you in it. Here on RAN or INA, this one you can buy on positive trading tomorrow. It tells you that it's staying above the 50. And PVG, this one's telling you it's going up to the 200. For a quick trade, you can be buying this one on positive trading tomorrow. And Herbalife, just stay long until you see a sell signal. Okay, and Apple did a dark cloud today, so to stay long on this, you definitely want to see it open positive and trade positive. And this one, you can kind of see where the 3T would come into effect. Notice how the 3T has been acting as support. Now you have a candlestick sell signal. If it opens lower, it tells us the sell signal is being confirmed and the T-line is not acting as support. The 3T is not acting as support. That means they're going to bring it back to the T-line. And ARIA, J-hook pattern in progress. Be ready to buy this on positive trading. And OXBT, if you didn't close it out today, it has to open positive and trade positive. If it opens lower, it's in this downward trend channel. Boeing, that's as flat as a pancake. Find something interesting to trade. That one doesn't have anything going for it. Buckaroo, this one you can be shorting. Notice the slow dumpling top, and now they're breaking it down with an evening star signal. Next target is the 200 and could go lower than that. CLX, Clorox, another one that can be shorted. Just make sure that the magnitude is worthwhile. Going from this level down to the 50, which is 4 points on a $92 stock, you're only looking at about 5% maximum potential. Facebook, just stay long until you see a sell signal. Excuse me, this is killing me now. Jacks, nothing here. You don't want to be long or short. That's two sideways. UTHR, this one you can be buying on positive trading, going to the top of the trend channel. All right, a few more. SWIR, left-right combo. You can be shorting this one on weakness tomorrow. Just watch to see what it does once it gets to the 200 or up to the 50. And ExxonMobil, again, you're trading an institutional stock here. At this point, you stay short until you see a buy signal. And Schlumberger, all you can do here is stay short with the anticipation that your next target is probably down at the 200. Soda. Soda is just having a hard time getting out of its own way. As you can see, it's flat. If this opens lower tomorrow, close out any long positions. And CMI, another one that even if it's in a slow uptrend, it's slow. It could move all the way from the 132 to 137, 5 points on a $133 stock. It's hardly worth shaking a stick at, and it doesn't really have any strong chart pattern. And SPLK, this one has to open higher to stay in it. If it opens lower, the rounding top is taking you down to the T line. Then you have to see what it's going to do from there. FARO, that's an evening star signal at the end of flat trading. That could have the slingshot effect to the downside. Unfortunately, you only had 86,000 shares traded in it, which means you'd have a hard time shorting it because there's probably not enough stock around there to get your hands on to short. And Best Buy, another one that even though it's in an uptrend, you can make 3 points on a $43 or $41 stock. You're in an uptrend. I definitely wouldn't be buying a stock. That to me would be strictly a option play. NB needs to open higher and trade higher to stay in it. We did Apple. We did MSGO. Let's see. XEC. Kicker type signal. It's not quite a kicker because it opened just below the previous candle, and it did have a tail to the downside, which tells me you're still having a hard time getting out of this downward trend channel. Let's see. OREX. Kicker signal to the downside. You can be shorting this one on weakness tomorrow on a lower open. Let's see. ADSK. This one moving sideways, but just touching the T-line. It shouldn't close below the T-line at all. It needs to open higher and trade higher for a breakout. So just use the T-line as your stop. CVOE. This one has to open higher to stay in it if you're still in it. Should have been out a couple of days ago with the closing below the T line, which means your stochastics haven't curled up yet. You don't have a buy signal here. I would probably be trading something else that has much better direction. And TZA, this one has a morning star type signal, but it still needs to close up above the T line. How far to ride Morgan Stanley until you see a sell signal and a close below the T line. Make it that simple. Gordon, no, I don't watch the MACD at all. It's a lagging indicator. The only reason I have it on these charts is because I can put it on here without affecting anything. I can put it on as a, whatever they call these. I can't even remember what they call these. But I'm more interested in the stochastics. Oh, you were ahead of me, Tammy. And HIG, another one where all you have to do is stay long until you see a sell signal. Backing and filling usually occurs at high. No, not necessarily. If I see an uptrend, this is backing and filling. Just a pullback that's telling you that they're not really selling. They're just kind of taking profits. That's a bearish engulfing signal with a booster, which means the bulls were happy, but then bam, they got slammed. This one, if you own it, first of all, if you're in a stock that's trading up in an overbought condition, very simply, put your stop at the low. If it comes back down through there, you're going to have some sort of sell signal setting up. And FNP, this one, all you can do is stay long as it stays above the T line. All right, that should be about it for tonight. Flutter kicker is where you gap up the next day above the previous day's open and do a doji. Then, if it opens positive after that, and it means it's going to trade positive. So if it trades positive, if you took the doji out of the middle, you'd essentially have a kicker signal. The doji just acts as a flutter. Let's see. On DDD, I've had some of the calls. I think I bought calls on Wednesday when it came up through the T line because it was starting to set up this little, I'm sorry. I think I bought some on Friday at a higher price. It backed off a little bit, but it was still setting up this J-hook type pattern, so I wasn't too concerned about it. Okay, let's call it a night. I'm going to go get a stiff something or other to clear up this throat. So we'll see you all in the chat rooms tomorrow. Have a good evening.